All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another math video. Today we are going to be talking about the last different solid shape that we're going to talk about in this unit, and that is the sphere. All right, the sphere. It behaves a little bit differently than some of the other solids, so that's why we saved it for last. But it is one of the most common solid shapes that we are going to find. So, before we get started, there's a couple definitions, a couple words you want to know, a couple words you want to have at your disposal when you're talking about spheres. And they are circle, center, radius, hemisphere, and great circle. Or sphere, center, radius, hemisphere, and great circle. All right, so a sphere is all points in space that are the same distance from a given point. Okay, all the points in space that are the same distance from a given point. And that point is called the center of the sphere, the point at that middle of the sphere. All right, so if we imagine this guy being a sphere, then this point right here would be the center of that sphere. Okay, a radius is the distance from the center of the sphere to the edge. So if we mark out, there's our radius. That would be our radius of our sphere. A hemisphere is a half of a sphere. Okay, if you cut a sphere in half, then that's a hemisphere. And the line you use to cut a sphere in half is called a great circle. A circle that goes all the way around the sphere that cuts that sphere into two hemispheres. So if we do something like that, whoopsie. Maybe do something like this. And then we make a dotted line around. So that cuts that sphere into two hemispheres. Okay? So if we're talking about the volume of a sphere, if we're trying to find the volume of a sphere, is this formula: 4 over 3 times pi r cubed. Simple as that. 4/3 times pi r cubed. And if we have a hemisphere, volume of a hemisphere, since it's half of a sphere, we would just take that 4 over 3 times pi r cubed, and whatever number we get for that, we would just divide that by 2. Okay? So, let's find some volumes for some spheres. Shall we? Just move this over here so we still have it. And let's say that we have a sphere. And we have our hemisphere here. And we have a radius of, this radius is 9 centimeters. Okay, we have a radius of 9 centimeters. So let's use that volume of a sphere and calculate that volume out. So volume equals 4 over 3 times pi times 9. Actually, you know what? Times pi times the radius cubed. So then I'm going to substitute in things I know. Volume equals 4 over 3 times pi, and then our radius is 9 cubed. Okay, so then volume equals, go ahead and grab your handy dandy calculator. So we have 4/3 times pi times 9 to the third power. So that would be this big number right here, 3053.62. I'm just going to round to 3053.6. So 3053.6 centimeters cubed. Okay? A lot of places will leave this in terms of pi, so they'll just take volume equals 4 over 3 times pi times 9 cubed, and they'll just say, all right, I'm going to leave this pi over here. So 4 over 3 times 9 to the third, volume would equal 972 times pi. Okay, for my money, both of these are the same statement. They're both the same thing. They both are talking about the same number. So I'm fine with either one of these. 972 pi centimeters cubed. Sorry, I forgot my units. All right, so let's give you one to practice on your own. So now let's talk about a hemisphere. I want you to find the volume of a hemisphere that has a radius of 4 inches. All right, so remember that your volume for your hemisphere is this formula right here, 4/3 pi times your radius cubed, divide that by 2. So go ahead, take a second, pause the video, and try to see if you can come up with this volume on your own. So plugging in our numbers, plugging in the things that we know, we're using our hemisphere equation this time. So we're using this 4/3 pi r cubed over 2. So I'm going to plug in 4 for my radius. So that's 4 over 3 times pi times 4 cubed over 2. I'm going to hammer in the top into the calculator just to make it a little bit easier. So putting that top in, 4 over 3 times pi times 4 cubed is going to give us 268.08. I'm just going to leave this in the calculator. I'm not going to really do much with it. I just know that I'm going to have some calculator number, and I'm going to be dividing that by 2. So then I went ahead and divided this number that I got here, divided by 2, and that gave me 134.04. So I'm going to go ahead and just round to the nearest tenth, and I'm going to say 134.0, and that's going to be inches cubed. Okay, so that's how spheres work. You're going to be calculating some of those for your assignment tonight. If you have any questions, please feel free to sign up and get a one-on-one session with me or Mrs. Studebaker. And with that, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye, guys.